The evening light filtered through the windows of Rosewood Elementary, casting long shadows across the polished floors that Michael Patterson knew by heart. At 52, with graying temples and weathered hands that spoke of decades of honest work. Michael moved through the empty hallways with quiet dignity. His custodial cart rolled softly beside him, the familiar sound a comfort after another long day. Tonight was different, though. The school was hosting its annual fundraising dinner, and the cafeteria buzzed with activity. Michael had volunteered to help serve, knowing every extra hand mattered. He'd changed from his usual work clothes into his best white button-down shirt, sleeves rolled up, ready to do whatever was needed. In the kitchen, steam rose from serving dishes filled with tender pot roast, golden roasted vegetables, and homemade rolls. The aroma brought back memories of Sunday dinners when his late wife, Sarah, was still with them. She'd always said food made with care could heal hearts and bring people together. Coach Bradley Hoffman stood near the serving station, his expensive suit and polished demeanor marking him as someone accustomed to attention. At 45, Bradley commanded respect on the football field, but tonight his arrogance seemed particularly sharp. He surveyed the volunteer servers with a critical eye, making comments about presentation and proper service. "Now remember," Coach Hoffman announced loudly, "this is a high-class event. We need to maintain standards. Some people understand fine dining and some—" His gaze swept dismissively over Michael. "Well, let's just hope everyone can rise to the occasion." Michael simply nodded, focusing on his task. He'd learned long ago that kindness spoke louder than words, and tonight wasn't about proving anything to anyone. As the evening progressed, Michael served each guest with genuine warmth. He remembered names, asked about families, and made everyone feel welcome. His movements were practiced and graceful, each plate presented with care. The steam rising from the hot dishes seemed to frame his weathered face with an almost ethereal quality. Then came the moment that would change everything. A well-dressed woman in an elegant cream blazer approached the serving line. Her dark hair was styled in a sophisticated chignon, and her warm brown eyes held intelligence and grace. She moved with quiet confidence, her gentle smile radiating kindness. "The pot roast smells absolutely wonderful," she said to Michael, her voice carrying a slight accent that spoke of cultured upbringing. "Thank you, ma'am. It's made with a secret ingredient," Michael replied with a gentle smile, carefully placing a generous portion on her plate. "Oh, what might that be?" she asked, genuinely curious. "A little extra time and a lot of care," Michael answered, his eyes twinkling with warmth. Coach Hoffman, overhearing the exchange, couldn't resist interjecting. "Well, some of us understand fine cuisine better than others," he said with a condescending laugh. "I'm sure our friend here does his best with simple food." The woman's expression shifted subtly, her smile becoming cooler. "I beg your pardon?" "Oh, nothing personal," Bradley continued, oblivious to the change in atmosphere. "It's just that there's a difference between institutional cooking and real culinary artistry. Some people have refined palates and others—" He gestured vaguely toward Michael. "I see," the woman replied quietly. "And you believe you can judge someone's culinary knowledge by their appearance?" Michael began to speak. "Ma'am, it's really—" "No," she said gently but firmly. "I'd like to hear Coach Hoffman's thoughts on cuisine." Bradley, encouraged by what he mistook for agreement, launched into a pompous discourse about wine pairings and molecular gastronomy. He spoke loudly enough for nearby tables to hear, clearly enjoying what he thought was an impressed audience. The woman listened patiently, occasionally nodding. When Bradley finally finished, she turned back to Michael with renewed interest. "You mentioned care as an ingredient," she said. "In my experience, that's the most important element in any dish. Could you tell me more about how this was prepared?" Michael, sensing genuine interest, began to share the story of the recipe. how it had been adapted from his grandmother's version, passed down through generations, how the vegetables were chosen for their sweetness, how the meat was seared to lock in flavors, how patience and attention made all the difference. As he spoke, a small crowd gathered. His knowledge was vast but humble, shared without pretension. He spoke of techniques learned through years of cooking for his family, of understanding how ingredients worked together, of the joy found in feeding others well. The woman smiled warmly throughout his explanation. When he finished, she extended her hand. "Thank you for that beautiful description. I'm Isabella Marchetti, by the way. I'm here representing the Culinary Institute Scholarship Fund." Coach Hoffman's face went pale. The Culinary Institute was renowned worldwide, and the Marchetti name was legendary in fine dining circles. "I travel frequently, evaluating culinary programs and meeting passionate cooks," Isabella continued. "It's rare to find someone who truly understands that technique without heart is just showing off, but heart with knowledge." She gestured. To Michael's beautifully presented plate, that's what creates memorable meals. The gathering crowd murmured with interest. Parents and community members who had watched Michael care for their children in school for years beamed with pride. Coach Hoffman stammered an apology, but Isabella had already turned her attention back to Michael. "Have you ever considered teaching?" she asked. "We have a community outreach program that would benefit tremendously from someone with your understanding and approach." Michael's eyes widened with surprise and quiet joy. Well, I'd never thought. But yes, I'd be honored to learn more." As the evening wound down, Isabella and Michael continued their conversation over coffee. She shared stories of famous chefs who had started humbly, and he told her about cooking with his daughter and the joy of sharing meals with friends and neighbors. "Coach," Hoffman approached their table hesitantly. "I owe you both an apology," he said quietly. "I spoke out of turn and made assumptions that were completely unfair." Michael looked up with characteristic grace. "We all make mistakes, Coach. What matters is what we do next." Isabella nodded approvingly. "Wisdom and kindness," she murmured, "the finest ingredients of all." 3 months later, Michael began teaching weekend cooking classes at the community center. His students ranged from teenagers to grandparents, all eager to learn not just techniques, but the philosophy behind his cooking. That food prepared with patience and love could bring people together and create lasting memories. Coach Hoffman became one of his most enthusiastic students, discovering that humility and genuine interest served him much better than arrogance ever had. And on quiet evenings, as Michael prepared simple meals in his modest kitchen, he could almost hear Sarah's gentle voice reminding him that the best gifts in life often came disguised as ordinary moments, waiting for kindness to reveal their true value. The steam still rose from his cooking, but now it carried with it the warmth of new friendships, second chances, and the enduring truth that respect and dignity belong to everyone, regardless of their station in life.